Okay, let me get to the next story here. Next story I want to get to is FCC late night show may not be exempt from equal time for opposing candidates. So what's going on here is the criticism of the numbers of guests that they've had. So I think Fallon and Kimmel, I think the Kimmel number was, 1 to 175. For every one Republican or conservative guest, 175 were liberals. I think maybe ended up being 2 or 3. And the one person that they had was Liz Cheney. So it's not like they had somebody.
Yeah.
And then this leads to a conversation about, FCC getting involved, saying, hey, you got to start having some guests on the other side. The FCC is changing its rule exempting certain late night and daytime talk shows from being required to provide equal airtime to opposing political candidates. Importantly, the FCC has not been presented with any evidence that the interview portion of any late night or daytime television talk show program on air presently would qualify for the bona fide news exemption, the FCC said in a public notice. Moreover, a program that is motivated by partisan purposes, for example, would not be entitled to an exemption under longstanding FCC precedent. And this is FCC Chair Brandon Carr talking about this. Carr has said that programs, because they air over a broadcast network rather than a cable channel or streamer, have an obligation to serve the public's interest, and the FCC intends to hold their networks to that standard, okay? So that's that. Rob, I think you have a clip on this with Jimmy Kimmel. Is this can you go to the Jimmy Kimmel one pleading to say, hey, this is not fair. They're going to force us to have people from the other side. I don't want people from the other side to come here, whatever it was that he was pleading with his audience. And Tom, interestingly so, found something from back in the days with Johnny Carson where Johnny was, is that the one?
Yep, right here.
Okay, go for it.
And then literally minutes after announcing his mysterious deal, the president took time from 6,000 miles away to continue his war on talk shows. He shared this story about how his minions at the FCC are planning to make it difficult for shows like ours and The View to interview politicians they don't align with. For real, we are once again getting threatened by the FCC. I might need your help again, okay?
Oh, God.
I might need your help again. Tom, what can you tell us about the history of how this worked and what happened with Johnny Carson many years ago?
Well, this is pure spin by Kimmel. I'll get that in a second. So it's called Section 315 of the Communication Act. How is it that we have TV? The federal government gave stations licenses to use the airwaves, and the airwaves were, therefore, owned by the government, and you could put your TV on them. Do you remember, Vinny, growing up where on regular TV, all of a sudden they'd say, please wait for 30 seconds, and you hear that sound, doo.
Yes.
This has been a test of the emergency broadcast system.
Yes.
Had this been an actual emergency, that's the federal government testing the systems that were for TV. Now, this is just TV, Pat, over the air, ABC, CBS, NBC. So back in the day, the FCC used to control this very stridently. If you had a political candidate on, you had to give equal time to the other political candidate. Because even though NBC is working for a profit, those airwaves, open airwaves, belong to the people through the federal government. And so the Tonight Show and NBC used to say, hey, we're not going to have candidates on. We're not going to walk the line like that. And they would also be very careful with guests. Johnny Carson famously told Charlton Heston, who we know as the Charlton Heston that spoke about the Second Amendment, they can take my gun when they pry my cold, dead fingers off it. Remember that? Yeah. And then Jane Fonda, who never met something liberal she didn't like, were both on opposite sides of the spectrum, and Carson reeled them in. Says, hey, we need to get back to your book. We need to get back to your movie. He would pull them back in. And so that was the way it used to work. What happened is, Pat, the federal government stopped enforcing it the way they should. And all Brendan Carr, at the urging of the president, is saying, hey, everybody who's still over the air, and you heard in the thing you read, Pat, not the cable network is private. Comcast dug the ditch and put that cable in front of your house, and you pay Comcast for it, right? And they run that on the electricity they buy. But over the air, the big three networks are over the air, and that's why you read that in that story. So Brendan Carr is like, you know what? We should get back to this. Immediately, Jimmy Kimmel goes, oh, now they're going to do this. No, Jimmy Kimmel's been living at a time where the FCC was not enforcing the law that was already there. I got a question for you. What is the nominal speed on I-95, Pat?
65.
Nominal speed.
65.
No, not speed limit, nominal. It's about 72.
I was going to say 70,
But the
75.
speed limit is 65, and then in certain areas, 55 for a short distance. Well, guess what?
Nobody does this.
The nominal situation right now is that the late night shows and everybody on broadcast TV, they've been driving 65, but nobody's been pulling them over and giving them a ticket.
Of course.
The speed limit has never changed. President is saying, hey, Brendan, you should go back out on section 315. Maybe I need to go on Jimmy Kimmel. Maybe whatever's being said, maybe I need to go have 5 minutes on Kimmel if he's going to talk to Gavin for 5 minutes. And that's the last thing the liberals that are in major media want.
Vinny.
No, the fact that he's still up there, they're still paying him. I know the contract is done at the end of this year, but it's just cry me a river. It's like, we all know what the Democratic Party and all the donors are doing. They pay these people because the majority of these older voters are sitting at home and still watching this propaganda get pumped in their brains, but it's not working and it's over. And I think, but hey, it's fair is fair. If you're going to give one side, 10% of the airtime, you have to give the other side 10%. And to be honest with you, Tom, this would probably save the network because you're gonna be forced to give equal. It's not going to be Trump.
That is a great point, very ironically, that the three broadcast over-the-air networks, even though they're also on cable, but the broadcasts, ABC, CBS, NBC, suddenly they start doing things on both sides. They might gain audience.
That's what I'm saying. So it might be like a blessing in disguise that they have no idea. But Jimmy Kimmel, by the way, I just love that audience is the same audience of The View. It's that same just angry, because mind you, I've been in those audiences. I've seen them shooting. I've been in Bill Maher's audience as well. It's that same group of people that are out in the streets of Minnesota yelling and screaming and going into Target and putting carriages with $400 and then walking out because they're angry at ICE. Those are the same freaking people, but I just think it's a stupid crying move, Pat, and it's not going to do anything. He's gone after this year.
Efren, maybe take a minute here and share with the audience how you ended up being on the podcast.
So it was during Christmas, like you said, and I was going to buy the merch anyway, so I ended up buying 2 pairs of the shoes and then also the sales classes. I saw a massive discount, so I purchased that. And I actually love what you guys do on the emails. I still get emails right now saying you have not started the courses.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
So when are you starting them?
Well, because right now my goal is to improve communication,
Yep.
so I'm taking a course for that.
Good.
Once that's completed, then I'll jump to that
I
course.
love it. So it's actually following up with you to make sure
Yes,
you do it.
love it.
Well, good for the team. Good for you for doing that. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.